right? Starting with the first one, natural gas. TK, everyone should know that's what? That's that's methane or methane, right? Is a reactant in respiration. What is respiration? When we breathe, what happens? Glucose reacts with oxygen, and it ends up forming what? CO2 and H2O, right? So it's a reactant in respiration. So in the above option, it's going to be oxygen gas, right? The next one is that you have the main constituent of bauxite. Okay, you've got this one, main constituent of bauxite. Bauxite, remember, is extraction. That is extraction of aluminium, right? So aluminium is present as the main constituent of bauxite, and since there is no option for aluminium, aluminium is extracted from bauxite. It's aluminium oxide from which we do the entire process, and we end up extracting aluminium out of it. Is a product of photosynthesis. That's so. What is photosynthesis? It's the opposite of respiration. It's when carbon dioxide and water molecules in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight they react and they form glucose and oxygen gas. So the answer over here is, I mean, in the above option, it's going to be oxygen gas. It's a greenhouse gas. Remember, there are two greenhouse gases. One is carbon dioxide, which causes global warming. The other one is methane, which also causes global warming. So in the above option, it's carbon dioxide is not there. So the option is going to be methane. But remember, there are two greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide and methane. And then we have macromolecular solids. What are macromolecular solids? These are giant covalent structures. So these are giant covalent structures. And what are these structures? It's you've got diamond and graphite. So what happens in diamond is that you have a carbon atom, which is then bonded to another carbon atom. Carbon is in group four, so it makes four bonds. So you have carbon bonded to a lot of carbon atoms, right? And then those carbon atoms are further bonded to, they're making four bonds. And then it just continues endlessly. So I mean, this one would also be bonded to four carbon atoms. So they're all bonded to four other carbon atoms, right? And that's diamond, right? Then there is graphite. In graphite, you also have carbon, but the thing is that those carbons are only bonded to three other carbon atoms. Let me draw it in a better way. So graphite is like this. It's a sheet-like structure where each carbon atom, the middle part, I mean, these are all carbon atoms. They only bonded to three other carbon atoms, not the side ones, the middle ones. And it just continues endlessly where you have more and more carbon atoms in a sheet-like structure. There are many, many sheets. And all of these sheets are independent sheets. They are not bonded to each other, but they attract each other by weak intermolecular forces. So there's sheets, lots of sheets stacked on top of one another, and they are then uh, that makes the structure soft because the sheets can slip and slide. And there's another one, a giant covalent structure, which is silicon dioxide, where you have a silicon atom. It's similar to diamond. It's you've got a silicon atom which is then bonded to four oxygen atoms. which are then further bonded to silicon atoms, which are then bonded to oxygen, and so on. It just continues. So these are your three giant covalent structures. You got diamond, graphite, and you got SiO2. Now, in this case, it's silicon oxide, silicon 4 oxide, or silicon dioxide that's given, and that is this structure. It's so this is silicon oxide. So macromolecular structure, that's going to be silicon oxide. ठीक है, Taha, is this clear?
Correct.
Okay, then you have to describe how these sodium isotopes are the same and how are they different. I mean, that's the question. I mean, there are three sodium isotopes that are given. So the question is, how are they different and how are they the same? So whenever you have isotopes, they have the same number of protons and electrons, but they have different number of neutrons. Uh, so all isotopes, they have, I mean, they're basically the same element. Protons and electrons are what defines what an element is. The neutrons, on the other hand, they vary a lot. Why do these isotopes have the same overall charge of zero, which is well, they have this zero charge because they have equal number of protons and electrons. So they have equal number of protons, which is your positive charge, and electrons, which is your negative charge. So they have exactly the same number of protons and electrons. Any atom is going to have zero charge because it's going to have the same number of protons and electrons. Why do all three isotopes have the same chemical properties? Well, they have the same chemical properties because they have the same exact electronic structure. So they have exactly the same electronic configuration. Why do sodium ions have a charge of +1? Because they lose one electron, lose one valence electron. Sodium is group 1, so it loses one valence electron. Here I name two forms of the element carbon that have a giant covalent structure. That's going to be diamond and graphite. Diamond and graphite are giant covalent structures. Taha, can you answer this one? What is a toxic gas that has carbon in it? Taha, do you know of any toxic gas that has carbon in it? Yeah, that's carbon monoxide. Okay, name the now based on there's this formula of there's a P4 compound, right? And he's given you properties. I think it's got a relatively low melting point, right? Boiling point as well. And it's a non-conductor, right? So no electric conduction. So what kind of compound would it be? Would it be in so name the type of bonding that's going to be here. Is it going to be ionic or is it going to be covalent? Now keep this in mind that when you have ionic bonds tend to have I mean they have strong attractive forces. There's a positive ion which is then attracted to a negative ion, which is then attracted to a. So ionic bonds have metal and non-metal. In covalent, P4 is a non-metal, so that's probably going to be a covalent. Covalent molecules have a simple molecular structure, and they have weak intermolecular forces between them. So it is going to be covalent because non-metals P4 bonded to, I mean, it's phosphorus atoms that are bonded together. That's going to be covalent, right? Explain in terms of attractive forces between particles. P4 has a low melting point, so it's got a low melting point, but because the molecules have weak intermolecular forces. So they have very weak intermolecular forces, which is why they all have low melting points. So P4 is an example over here. This P4 molecule is therefore going to have a very, very low melting point, boiling point, because it has very, very weak intermolecular forces. Is this clear? And they don't conduct because they don't have any free moving electrons. Or ions. There are no charged particles in covalent molecules. Nothing is charged. I mean, this P4 is neutral. This P4 is also neutral. This P4 over here is also neutral. So they don't have any charge, which is why they don't really conduct electricity. You're being asked to figure out an equation for this. P4 reacting with air. So that's pretty simple. P4 reacting with air. Air, the active component of air is oxygen, and it ends up forming P4 O10. And what type of chemical reaction is this? So, well, this is an oxidation reaction because oxygen is getting added to it. I mean, they are adding oxygen. They're adding oxygen to this. Then he says P4O10 is an acidic oxide. So you got P4O10. They say it reacts with the sodium hydroxide. So it reacts with NaOH. And it then says that it produces water as the only other product, and it produces a salt that contains phosphate ions. So there's a salt that contains phosphate ions, and water is the only other product. Now, this salt over here, what could be this salt? The only thing that's missing is Na. So it probably has Na plus one. So the salt is Na3PO4. I mean, it's pretty obvious because Na is the only thing that's missing. So they said that the salt contains PO4 minus 3 ions. So hence it's probably going to be sodium phosphate. And then they're asking for the Dorner cross diagram of phosphine, pH 3. H only has one electron to share, so it only shares one electron. Phosphorus in total has 5 electrons, so 3 are already shared. How do I know phosphorus has 5 valence electrons? Because it's in group 5. So this is the diagram for pH 3. And what is meant by the term base? A base is what? It's something that accepts H positive ions. Write a chemical equation for the reaction between ammonia and sulfuric acid. So that's pretty simple. Ammonia plus sulfuric acid. Ammonia is a base, remember that. So what a base does is it accepts H plus 1 ions. So you get NH4 ammonium salts. SO4 is -2, so the formula would be NH4 twice. And to balance it, you would add 2 NH3 to it. The next part is suggest a source for hydrogen for this industrial process. So hydrogen is obtained from water. And so by electrolysis, they extract hydrogen gas. Complete a table using only words increases or decreases. So this is about equilibrium. Remember when you add a catalyst, the rate of forward reaction and the rate of backward reaction, both of them speed up. So effect on the rate of the reverse reaction, well, it does speed up. I mean, you have to use the word increases. Increasing the temperature always favors the endothermic reaction. That's a rule that whenever you increase temperature, the reaction that needs energy, that is the one that speeds up, which is in the case backward reaction. So you're going to get less or decreases the amount of methanol. There's going to be more backward reaction because the forward is exothermic. So that means the backward must be endothermic. And then you have decreasing the pressure. When you decrease pressure, more gas is going to be produced, which is again backward. So the amount of product formed would also decrease. more gas is going to be produced. And when you decrease pressure, the rate decreases actually. Particles become further apart, and therefore they the whole reaction process slows down. And so then you have